You've reached a point that most men never admit they've reached. That quiet point, where you look at the relationship, look at your own behavior, and realize that something has changed. And it wasn't her. It was the way she sees you. It's not that love disappeared. It's that respect left before love did. And you feel that in her tone of voice, in the shorter replies, in the way she makes decisions without consulting you, in the lightness that disappeared from the contact. You're still there, physically, but your presence has stopped carrying weight, and now you want to win that back. But the more you try, the more it seems like you sink, because there's a cruel irony here. The wrong attempt to regain respect is exactly what confirms why it went away. Before anything else, we need to align on something important: what respect is and what it isn't. Respect is not superficial admiration. It's not her thinking you're handsome or smart or interesting. Respect is something else. It's the perception that you're a man who takes a stand, who has an axis, who, when he says something, it carries weight, who, when he makes a decision, it comes from a consistent inner place, not from fear, not from neediness, not from the desperation of not losing. When respect goes away, it's almost never because of a single big mistake. It goes away little by little, in layers, in a "it's fine" when it wasn't fine, in agreeing to avoid conflict, in giving in too quickly, in giving in too much, in always giving in, until the point where somewhere inside her, something changes. She may not even know how to explain it, but she feels it. She feels that the man in front of her no longer has his own ground, that he's there, but not anchored to anything. And then comes the most common mistake. The man notices this and tries to compensate with action, does more, proves more, shows more, becomes more accommodating, more available, more present. And here is the paradox. The more you act out of the need to win it back, the more you confirm exactly the absence of what she lost. Because respect doesn't come back through visible effort, it comes back through real posture. And real posture has no audience. It shows up when nobody is looking, including her. There's a pattern that almost always shows up in these cases. You feel the distance. You increase the attempt at connection. She pulls back. You interpret the pullback as lack of interest. You increase the attempt even more. She feels pressured and pulls back more. And the cycle tightens around both of you until there's no room left to breathe. This isn't lack of love. It's anxiety. And anxiety doesn't create safety. Anxiety creates tension. And maybe what she feels around you today is much more this than any specific mistake from the past. So what needs to change doesn't start outside, it starts inside. You need to stop acting from the fear of losing and start acting from who you are. That's not a pretty phrase. It's a practical difference. When you act from fear, every action carries a hidden intention to control the outcome, to make her feel something, to force a reaction, to guarantee an ending. And she feels that, not in the details, but in the atmosphere, in the energy, in the invisible pressure. When you act from who you are, from what makes sense to you, from what represents your values, without any guarantee of return, you stop being anxious and you start being real. And real people create space for real connection. But here's the hard part. To be real, you need to know who you are. And this is where a lot of things break. You didn't lose her respect just because of one specific mistake. You lost her respect because, at some level, you also lost touch with yourself, with what you want, with what you don't accept, with what matters to you beyond her. When a man's identity becomes completely tied to the relationship, when his mood depends on her mood, when his self-esteem depends on her approval, when his sense of direction disappears without her as a reference, he stops being an axis and becomes a mirror. And nobody wants to live with a mirror. We want to be with people who exist, who have shape, who have an inner life, who have opinions that don't change with the wind. Rebuilding respect starts there, not with the performance of confidence, but with the real practice of presence. That means honoring your boundaries, not the ones you talk about, the ones you keep. It means having your own life, projects, interests, rhythm. It means relearning how to tolerate a no without falling apart. It means being able to stand even with the real possibility of losing. And when that happens, something changes in you that can't be faked. Now, there needs to be honesty here. None of this guarantees that she'll stay. None of this guarantees that she'll see you the same way again. None of this is a promise. She might look at you months from now and still decide to leave. And that doesn't invalidate the process, because the process is yours. If your change has her as its final goal, then it isn't change. It's strategy. And she feels strategy too. The work has to be for you, for the version of you that you want to be, with or without this relationship. And that's where the paradox lives. When there's no audience, there's authenticity. And when there's authenticity, respect can come back. Sometimes with her, sometimes with someone new, but always with yourself. And maybe the most honest question is this: who do you want to be when nobody is evaluating you? Because in the end, sometimes the greatest proof of maturity is not winning someone back, it's winning yourself back.